Hello, I'm Burt Green, and this is the Burt Locker. This one in particular is a casuals guide to UFC 295. Now, if you're new to this, the casuals guide is exactly what it says it is. It is the entire card, top to bottom, quick hits. It's fast, it's fun, it's informative. It's designed so that basically, sometimes these cards go deep. It's designed so that you know a little bit more about some of the people, that you're not as familiar with as you would like to be, and it just gets you more invested in the fights. Means that you get more out of the pay-per-view where you watch it on Saturday. So I like to get these done in 15 to 20 minutes. It's just quite a large card, so let's see how I go. Let's get cracking. Dennis Bazooka takes on Jamal Emmers in the 145-pound division. 5'9", plays 5'10", with a 3.5-inch reach for Emmers. Now, Bazooka, he's decent on the regional scene. He really is. He's got 4 knockouts. He's got a few decisions. He lost his UFC debut to Woodson. He's a guy. He's all legs and no torso. He's a weird guy. Google Woodson. Anyway, Emmers, he's pretty solid. He took Giga Chikadze to a split decision. That's difficult to do. He goes win-loss quite a lot, but he has been in the UFC for a little while now. He's not found a finish in the UFC yet, I would note. So Emmers, he probably has too much experience for Bazooka in this one. It's not an easy debut, so I'm going decision for Emmers in that one. Joshua Van taking on Kevin Borjas, 125-pound division. 5'5", plays 5'5", with a 3.5-inch reach for Borjas. Van, he is on a roll. He's got very good stand-up. He really does. He's got fast hands. He beat Zuma Gulas. He made life very, very hard for him. His debut. He is past the debut jitters now, so I think he's going to be looking to build on that performance. Borjas is fresh off the Dana White Contender Series and the regional scene. He has been knocking out everyone, to be fair. Knees, punches, he's got power where it counts. I think Borjas is probably the more dangerous fighter here. I'll roll the dice on the knockout. John Castaneda, 20-6, taking on Hyung Ho Kang, 19-9, South Korean. This is a catchweight fight. You've got 5'6", playing 5'9", 2-inch reach for Kang. Now, Castaneda, sexy Mexi, he's very well-rounded. He's a good prospect. He's got very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, good ground control, and he's got legit striking. I'm quite a big fan of his. Now, Kang, he debuted in the UFC a very long time ago when Wanderlei Silva fought Brian Stann. That's how long this dude has been in the UFC for. That is incredible. So he's the definition of a veteran. He's a salty veteran. He's only lost 3 fights in the UFC since that time. That's a long time. So 3 out of 12, he's only lost 3 out of 12 fights in the UFC. That's pretty good. He's only 36 as well. He must have been 10 when he started. Anyway, he's a grappling machine. He really is. He's got excellent MMA grappling. He's got a lot of submissions. He's got a lot of submissions against UFC level competition as well, which is impressive. I'm going to take the veteran here. I think Kang's going to be too much. You got Jared Gordon, 19-6, taking on Mark Madsen, 12-1 out of Denmark. You got the 155-pound division. This one's 5'9", playing 5'8", with a 4-inch reach for Madsen. Now, Gordon shot to fame when he lost that close fight to Paddy Pimblett. Then he got headbutted real nice by Bobby Green. Other than that, he's not done a huge amount, honestly. He's a John Danaher brown belt. He doesn't seem to use his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that much, mostly because those guys are all leg lockers, and when you try using leg locks in the UFC, you generally get your face punched in, so it doesn't go great. He's a bit of a plodder, but he does plant his feet, and when he plants his feet, he does generate power with his hands. Mark Madsen is like a Danish serial killer. He's a silver medalist. I'm not sure what I'm basing that on. That's libel. I do apologise. I take it back. He's not a serial killer. He could be though. Anyway. He's a silver medalist, Greco-Roman Olympian. So when he gets a hold of you, he's a nightmare. He's got a great coach in Martin Kampmann. He's very strong and he can dictate where the fight goes. I like Madsen by decision here just because he's so good at controlling his opponents. He's got the wrestling pedigree to do it. So that's the early prelims. We're now moving on to the prelims. If you enjoy this content, hit subscribe. We cover all kinds of sports here on the Burt Locker. Mostly it's the UFC, MMA because I love it. Also got a bit of NASCAR. Got a bit of old NFL fantasy as well. So if you hit the bell notification, it'll let you know when all the videos are dropping. So hit subscribe. You got Nazim Sadikov, 9-1 from Russia, taking on Vyacheslav Borshev, 7-3, both out of Russia, 155-pound divisions to kick off the prelims. 5'10", plays 5'11", with the reach being 69 inches for both men. Now, Sadikov, he's the Black Wolf. He's a killer. He's a real talent. Knockout on Dana White Contender Series. Knockout over Evan Elder in his debut. He choked out Terrence McKinney in his last fight. The dude is a savage. Then you've got Borshev. He's also a killer, honestly. He's got loads of knockouts. He hits body shots as well. He stops people with body shots. I respect the hell out of anyone that can do that. And, like, good God, this one's going to be violent. It's going to be so violent. I'm a big fan of both guys. I'm going to take Sadikov by KO. Because I don't know. Either one of these guys could win, but Sadikov by KO for me. Mateusz Rebecki, 18-1 from Poland, taking on Roosevelt Roberts, 12-3 out of America. You've got 155-pound division. Now, Rebecki, he's an absolute killer. He really is. He's good in every area. He's got very strong hips. He's got good grappling, good wrestling. He's got heavy hands. He's a really good prospect. He's got 18 wins, 15 finishes. He really has an instinct to finish fights. Now, Roosevelt Roberts is very tall for lightweight. He's had a decent run in the UFC, then he got cut, then he returned on the Ultimate Fighter season 31, got to the semi-finals, and now he's getting another shot. Now, he's got good grappling, he's got very good back takes because he uses his legs to kind of flatten opponents out. I do think Rebecki is a real tough return match for him, though. He's a real killer, and I think that Rebecki by KO for me in that one. Tabitha Ricci, 9-1 out of Brazil, taking on Lupe Godinez, 11-3 out of Mexico. Ladies strawweights, 5'1", plays 5'2", with a 1-inch reach 61-inch reach for each. Sorry, I thought I'd put 61-inch reach for that. That's incredible. But anyway, Tabitha Ricci, the baby shark. She's my absolute favourite because I mean she's an absolute dime piece, first team all body. She's the whole package. She's exciting to watch. She's got great judo, really great Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And she's a very good fighter, really fun to watch. I'm a big fan. Lupe Godinez, she is a gamer. Any fight that comes up, she'll take it. She fights as many times in the year as she can. I love that. She's very good at pushing the pace and overwhelming opponents to decisions. Never betting against the baby shark though. I'm going to go baby shark by decision, but it's going to be a competitive matchup. Steve Erceg, 10-1 out of Australia, taking on Alessandro Costa, 13-3 out of somewhere else. I think it's America. Anyway, 125-pound division. 5'8", plays 5'4", with a 1-inch reach for Erceg. Now, Erceg is a giant for 125. 5'8" is pretty tall for that division. He's very long. He's got good grappling. He uses his limbs to get those chokes. So you got a lot of back take chokes, a lot of rear naked chokes, and guillotines as well. Costa, he's a good all-rounder. In the grappling, he does tend to look for limbs. He likes to go for those arm bars. He's got a knee bar as well, I believe. He likes the elbows in the ground and pound. He's very dangerous, but I do like Erceg here. He's very long and he uses it well, and I think he'll use it to get the submission in that one. So then we move on to the main card. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification. We cover loads of sports here. It's and we just have a lot of fun. It's a fun channel. It's like comedy, sports. It's just, it's a good time. So hit subscribe. Anyway, Diego Lopes, 22-6 out of Brazil, takes on Pat Zabatini, 18-4 from the old US&A, 145-pound division. 5'11", plays 5'8", with a 2.5-inch reach for Lopes. Now, Lopes is a very high-level grappler, very high level. He's also a savage on the feet. He's an absolute killer everywhere, honestly. 22 wins, sorry. He's finished 20 of them, so he knows how to get the finish. Slightly in favour of the submissions, that's what he likes to do. In the grappling, he often looks for the limbs, so look out for arm bars and knee bars and that. You've got Sabatini is an absolute monster. NCAA level wrestler with a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. That's always going to spell problems. He's so damn strong. He really is. He's so strong. He has less success on the feet. He got finished by Damon Jackson, but look, on the ground, he's insanely skilled. So just don't let him get you to the ground, basically. For me, I think Lopes has more options to get this one done. But if this goes to the ground, it's pretty even. On the feet, Lopes gets it done, though. I'm going to go for the KO in that one. Matt Frevola, 11-3-1, takes on Benoit Saint Denis, 12-1, fighting out of France. Frevola is out of the USA. You've got the 155-pound division, 5'9", playing 5'11", with a 2-inch reach for Saint Denis. Now, Frevola, he's one of the Serra Longo boys, so you know he's good at grappling. He's going to just be tough as hell. He has beaten some really good guys as well. He beat Jalen Turner. That's impressive to me because Jalen Turner's a monster. He's currently on a 3-fight run of 3 first round knockouts. That's very, very impressive. He's clearly got a lot of power in those hands. Saint-Denis is an ex-French special forces, so cage fighting is just not stressful to him. And you can tell, he's so calm in there. His grappling is insane. He's so good when it goes to the ground. And he's just insanely tough as well. He can take a hit, but he gets into these dogfights, but he's also got the grappling to kind of fall back on to back him up. I cannot and I will not bet against Benoit Saint-Denis. But honestly, this is just good matchmaking. This has potential fight of the night written all over it. So make sure you tune in for Matt Frivola against Benoit Saint-Denis. That would be my advice to you on this one. Just make sure you watch it because it will be very, very fun. Jessica Andrade, 24-12 from Brazil, taking on Mackenzie Dern, 13-3, also out of Brazil. This is the ladies' strawweight. So you've got 5'1" playing 5'4" with a 1-inch reach for Mackenzie Dern. Andrade is an absolute savage, as we see. Look, you know who Andrade is if you follow MMA. Former champion, knocked out Rose Namajunas with a slam. She's tough as all hell. She's got very good grappling. She's possibly on a downward slide though, because she has lost 3 times in a row now. She's been finished 3 times. That's not ideal. Mackenzie Dern is very good in the grappling. She's absolutely elite. Sometimes she gets drawn into stand-up fights and she shouldn't, because that is not where her kind of bread and butter is. She's not a stand-up fighter, and you can kind of tell when she gets into those exchanges. I actually like Jessica Andrade for a win here, honestly. I think that Mackenzie Dern, if she can take this to the ground, Mackenzie Dern can definitely submit Andrade, because Mackenzie Dern is elite on another level. But on the feet, I think Andrade is probably going to be too much for her. I think Andrade's got a lot of power, and also, even on the ground, it's not a foregone conclusion. Jessica Andrade is also very good on the ground. I like Andrade. She's got her back against the wall here. I think if she... I don't think she's necessarily going to lose her job if she loses here, but 4 losses on the bounce, especially if she gets finished 4th time in a row, that's not ideal. So, yeah, for me, I'm going to go Andrade, probably by decision, I would have thought. I think that she'll use her striking to stay ahead on the cards and maybe use a bit of dominant wrestling to negate Mackenzie Dern's grappling. So then we move on to the co-main event of the evening. For me, and for many of us, it's going to be the main event of the evening, because it does feature Mr. Tom Aspinall. I've got my t-shirt on there, because I went to see him fight Tybura in London. It was very good. Very good performance. Anyway, Sergey Pavlovich, 18-1 out of Russia, taking on Tom Aspinall, 13-3 out of the UK. 6'3", plays 6'5", with a 6-inch reach for Pavlovich, despite him being the shorter man. So you've got Pavlovich. He's an absolute savage striker from Russia. He reminds me a little bit of Igor Vashanshin from the Pride days. I think he was. I don't think he was from the Ukraine, but either way, they've got a similar shaped head, and they also just like to. They've got a similar kind of style. They just bash people's heads in, and that's what he does, man. I mean, he's got 6 first-round finishes in a row. He's got fast hands. He's got a lot of power. What can you say? Sergey Pavlovich, scary, scary man. Tom Aspinall is one of the most dynamic heavyweights in the UFC. He really is. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Brit and I'm supporting him. He's very fast for 6'5". On the feet, his footwork is absolutely next level. He's so fast, but it's on the ground as well, where he's absolutely elite. He's been rolling since he was like 5 years old. So when he gets the fights to the ground, it's almost too easy for him. He goes through people like a hot knife through butter, honestly. It's crazy. So this is a huge fight, honestly. On the feet, Pavlovich, he has the reach and he has the insane power. I do think that Tom, however, has more ways to win. I think that would be fair to say. And one thing I would draw your attention to is that we saw Alistair Overeem. Pavlovich's last loss was to Alistair Overeem. And Alistair Overeem basically managed to get him to the ground and pound him and just beat him up, basically. Now, if Alistair Overeem can do that to him, Tom Aspinall can 100% do that to him. I think we'll see Tom Aspinall get he'll work the grappling, because Tom Aspinall's a smart guy. If you stand with Pavlovich, you play into his game, into his world. I'm not saying that Tom Aspinall can't stand with Pavlovich. I'm saying that Tom Aspinall's a very smart fighter, and he wants to have a long career and avoid damage. He's gonna use the striking enough to set up the takedown, and once he gets the takedown, I don't think that Pavlovich will have an awful lot for him. I think that it's either going to be a ground and pound or a sub. I'm going to lean towards the submission. That is my pick. Although, one thing I would draw your attention to is that Tom Aspinall has taken this fight on short notice. Now, people that haven't been paying attention are saying, well, they both took the fight on short notice. That isn't true. Sergey Pavlovich was the backup for this fight anyway. He was already in camp. He was already, making weight. Not that the heavyweights really have to worry too much about making weight, but he was already in camp preparing for this night. Tom Aspinall was not. Obviously, Tom Aspinall was never out of shape. He's always training, but that's just maybe something to consider, I would say. Then you've got the main event of the evening, Jiří Procházka, 29-3-1 from Czechoslovakia. You've got the Alex Pereira, 8-2 out of Brazil. 205-pound title fight. So 6'3" plays 6'4" with a 1-inch reach for Jiří Procházka. Now, Jiří Procházka is the former light heavyweight champion. Obviously, he did his shoulder. And one thing that's interesting here is what's Jiří going to look like now? The UFC doctor said it was one of the worst shoulder injuries he'd ever seen. So is he going to come back the same? We know that Jiří has unorthodox striking, very unorthodox striking. He's tough as all hell. He does leave a lot of openings though. That's something that I just identified with his few fights that we've seen him in the UFC. I've always thought that was a slight issue. Now, Alex Pereira, we know he's an elite level kickboxer, managed to knock out Israel Adesanya, both in kickboxing and in the UFC, won the middleweight title, and now he's on the cusp of becoming a two-weight champion after just not many fights in the UFC. What was it, like 8 fights? Anyway, it's going to be an interesting one because, look, who's the better overall mixed martial artist? We already know that probably Jiří Procházka. Jiří Procházka probably has the better grappling, although we haven't seen a lot of grappling from Jiří Procházka. Not a massive amount of it. He does tend to like to swing and do his unorthodox back elbows and striking and get into firefights. I wouldn't recommend that against Alex Pereira, and this is why my pick for this one, I think I'm going to go for Alex Pereira to get the knockout. Because Jiří Procházka, he leaves his chin out there way too much. He really does. And if Alex Pereira finds that chin, you are going to sleep. And Jiří he doesn't usually go for the grappling. So look, maybe he'll see that as the easier option. So he'll be shooting for takedowns, but I don't know if he will. And it's not like Pereira's got zero grappling. He's clearly going to have been working on that. I like Pereira by knockout in that one. And new light heavyweight champion of the world. It's going to be a really fun night of fights, especially the co-main event, Pavlovich against Tom Aspinall. I am very, very excited. I'm going to be putting some terrible bets on the Saturday. There's also going to be some NFL fantasy stuff on Friday or Saturday. Either way, hit subscribe, like the video, all that good stuff. Until next time, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.